Yo, what's good, guys? It is your host, Seiji Samurai here, and welcome to the channel. I'm here today to bring you another part to What If Asta had Acnologia's powers. Hopefully, you guys do enjoy this part, as this will be the final part to this What If. This series has gone on for long enough, and honestly, I'm really glad to see how it turned out to be. I enjoy it for what it is. If you didn't enjoy it, I'm sorry, but I enjoy it for what it is, and I want to thank you all so much for coming along with me and enjoying the journey for what it was. But besides that, guys, thank you all so much for your support, and I know you guys don't want to hear me blab on about this announcement and everything, so why don't we go on and get started with this? So, it's your host, and it's time to begin.
You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro. Don't waste your time no more. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do?
Alright, guys, so let's kick off this What If. Hopefully you guys do enjoy, and besides all of that, let's begin. So we now kick off this What If with Asta and the rest of the Black Bulls, as currently right now they were chilling at the base after rescuing Nero from a very bad fate. Now, as Asta was currently sitting down, he'll be currently scolded by Noel, but Asta didn't care, as he didn't honestly care. He didn't care if he became an enemy to the whole entire kingdom. After all, Nero was one of them, so of course he was going to back her up. However, now seeing that Asta was barely even listening to her, or heck, doesn't even care about what she says, Noel sighs with a pout as she just sits down beside Asta while looking at Nero, thinking that she looked gorgeous. However, after that, Yami would then return as he tells the Black Bulls that it was now time for them to start scouting and looking information from the demons. But first things first, he tells Finral, Asta, and Noel, as well as Nero too, as they also had went on a joint mission combined with the Golden Dawn, as accompanying them would be none other than a Mimosa, as he asked them to go to the Heart Kingdom, as they need to discuss this with them. Unfortunately though, thanks to the fact that the Heart Kingdom has many booby traps, Yami informs its squad that they need to bring Mimosa along with them since she's so far the only one who has been there. Now, while this is happening, we also get to see a little bit of a moment between Finral and his brother Longris, as during the time where the Black Bulls were at the headquarters of the Golden Dawn, we will eventually end up seeing Finral end up walking past his brother, to which his brother, although with a ginormous amount of pride being swallowed, as well as the fact that he was looking down, he would then mutter the words, "Good luck out there and be safe." This will stop Finral in his path, as he was legit shocked to the core to hear this response from his brother of all people, as Finral would then have a smile on his face. "Yeah, you bet. I'll be back soon. In the meantime, watch over my fiance." As Finral will then walk off, Longris can do nothing more but nod his head, as he then turns back. Now, also, before some people will start questioning as why Longris is doing this, you guys gotta remember something. Longris has his entire pride, his power, everything was shattered to a million pieces. He got defeated once by Finral. Then, not only that, he got put in his place by Asta by just seeing how him being a commoner and a nobody was able to skyrocket up the ranks. And finally, there was also that time when he turned into a reincarnated elf, and this ended up causing him a large amount of trouble to his family, and Finral was the one to stop him. So at this point, the man is now being humbled. And so far, being humble, typical anime fashion, they try to change their ways, which I respect that, as long as they're trying to change their ways, that's okay. So eventually, after meeting up with Mimosa and telling her about the Heart Kingdom, she will then decide to accompany them, as this is where we then see Finral, Asta, Mimosa, Noel, and Nero as they all eventually go on a boat to sail directly towards the Heart Kingdom. Now, eventually, this will be nothing more but a miniature journey as they eventually arrive at the dock of the Heart Kingdom. However, as they end up approaching, though, storm clouds begin to form right in front of them, as this is when suddenly a ginormous bolt of lightning then tries to strike their boat. Asta, being Asta, then suddenly open his mouth, as he actually senses the magic coming from the attack as he absorbs a bolt of lightning. Oh man, thanks for the grub, that was ginormous. You got pretty strong magic there, don't you? At this, we will then look up into the sky, as currently right now looming over in the storm clouds, we will see none other than Gaija, who tells the squad that they had been expecting their arrival. Now, as soon as hearing day, Asta would suddenly end up getting taken by the water around him as he gets sent flying directly towards the Heart Kingdom. Now, Asta, sensing a ginormous amount of magic, would then stay calm as the rest of the Black Bulls actually panic. Now, due to this, they would instantly get into action as Finral and Noel, along with Mimosa, then get into combat as they try chasing after Asta, But this is when Gaija would then get in their way, saying that they have their own matters to take care of. Now, with this being said, Asta then screams out saying that he will be fine, as he then enters into the Heart Kingdom. As we now turn our locations to there, we see Asta as he was currently right now being surrounded by water all around, and him getting tired of it just decides to open his mouth as he can sense the magic that was coming from the water, as he ends up drinking it all. However, as Asta does this is when the water spirit Undyne would then make her appearance known, as she ends up slipping out of the water, making her ginormous form, and she stares at Asta with disgust. "That's disgusting!" she would shout. She then splashes Asta with a ginormous wave of water, causing him to be sent flying, but Asta ends up instantly regaining his balance in an instant. "Well, what do you do when you see a 5-star buffet right in front of you? You're not going to dive in and just eat it?" Asta would say as he makes a hilarious comment, to which Undyne just looks at him like confused and also pissed off. However, while she does, she was also having a ginormous mental monologue. He ate my magic. That shouldn't be possible. I'm a spirit. There's no way. Great. I don't even know exactly where to stage him. I mean, he's not stage 9 for sure, but he's not stage 0 either. I don't know where to put him on the scale. As she tries to find out exactly what level is Asta and if she's going to be able to take care of him, Asta ends up sensing another presence, one with ginormous amount of magic behind a curtain. As he looks at the water current, he would then suddenly end up growing dragon wings, as this would be thanks to his mastery over his dragon slayer magic. As with these wings, he ends up blowing out of the water in an instant, surprising Undyne, by the way, with the speed, as he would then rush towards the curtain. As thanks to the boost of speed, he ends up piercing right through it, and as soon as he ends up landing on the other side, he ends up getting filled with a bunch of air, but also ends up seeing the person who was hiding behind it, this being the Queen of the Heart Kingdom, Lolo Pachika. Did I say the name? I think I said it right. If I didn't, well, that's too bad. I'm going to move on anyway. So, Lolo Pachika actually being caught off guard will actually look at Asta's surprise, as this is when Undyne would then shoot a ginormous water ball directly at Asta, who ends up punching it away. "So you're the Queen of the Heart Kingdom, huh?" Asta would say as he stares directly at her. At this, Lolo Pachika would then nod, as Asta, while he was staring her down, would also begin to pick up on something. Great, she has that smell on her, Asta would say. Now, another thing that Asta began to realize was the scent of demon's magic. The reason for this one is because of the fact that demons in Black Clover, they have a very peculiar scent. It smells sinister. And due to this, Asta is able to pick it up in an instant. Compared to normal people's, theirs are very unique. And when Asta senses Lolo Pachika, she can sense a lot. Like, she can sense determination. He can sense someone who is very kind, but at the same time, he could also sense despair and sadness. And finally, there was this one of being just pain. And this thing was just there, as it felt like it was nothing more but a bad air freshener filling up the entire room. As Asta tries to wonder this when suddenly he also ends up hearing a ginormous splash coming through, as the rest of the Black Bulls and the squad begin to arrive. So we're now doing a time skip. Now, eventually, after everything gets in order, Lolo Pachika would then introduce herself as she begins to explain the whole situation. This is where we end up finding out about the Dark Triad, which Asta instantly hearing this would then sigh, wondering just how many more of these demons are there going to be. However, if there was one thing that Asta was going to admit, it was the fact that these guys, no matter how annoying they were strong. And Asta's goal to become the strongest, well, it means fighting off threats like these. So Asta, although he didn't like the smell of their magic, and also the fact that they were just disgusting to him, at the same time he was excited for a fight. However, while thinking this though, Asta would then begin to smell that smell one more time, as this is when he actually speaks up about it. Speaking of which, I gotta ask you something. By any chance, do you have any demonic magic on you? By any chance? Now, this will cause both Gaija and Undyne to actually tense at that, while Lolo Pachika actually looks down for a few seconds. Now, Noelle and Mimosa try speaking to Asta, saying that was kind of messed up and rude, but this is when suddenly Lolo Pachika would then actually, raise her head, and with a determined expression, she would then show them the curse area, as she said that she had been cursed and that she was fated to die one day. Now, of course, hearing this would actually cause Mimosa and Noelle to sympathize with her, and Finral too, as he actually looks down and is pretty upset for this girl, as she seems really kind. But as for Asta, he just blankly stares at the curse before walking over. "Hey, what are you doing? Undyne would then say, as she tries, to tell Asta like to stay back and show some more respect, but Asta gets really close to little Pachika, causing her to back up and actually be a little bit flustered, as he then actually brings his face close to her stomach. This would cause everyone to look at Asta like in shock, as they literally like, what the heck is this man doing? And so Asta would then open his mouth, as suddenly the curse would then begin to be absorbed by Asta. At this, everyone would then be surprised as Asta would eat up the curse in an instant, leaving nothing left, as he then swallows it, looking with a bitter expression. Oh my gosh. Dude, it's like tasting that weird medicine that Sister Liddy used to give me, Asta would say, as he ends up looking away with a bitter expression. What did you do? Gaija would say, as he gets right up in Asta's face, now feeling pissed off. Now at this, Asta, raises his hand, saying that it was alright, saying that he just got rid of that weird curse since he couldn't stand the stench anymore. Now, of course, seeing this, Little Pachika, as well as the Water Spirit and Gaija, would look at Asta in shock, as they couldn't believe it. What? As she looks at Asta, she then walks over to him and actually gives him a hug, as she tells Asta that she is thankful for his help, to which Asta just smiles, saying that it was alright. And after all, he vibes with Little Pachika, so that means both of them are now friends. And as friends, they decide to help each other out. It's kind of typical. But now that Little Pachika was now okay, she was feeling her energy, going back up. As this one suddenly, she also begins to stare at Asta before finally getting a serious expression. At this, she begins to explain to Asta about the stages of magic as well as the system here, as she tells Asta that he was actually one of the very ginormous requirements to take care of the Dark Triad. Now, of course, hearing this, we will then end up turning to another scene as we see Magma, Luck, and Vanessa as they were sent on a mission to the Diamond Kingdom to scope out and to find out any information. However, as they do, this one suddenly they'll then see ginormous armies of Diamond Kingdom soldiers knocked out and currently unable to move, as a man was standing on top of all of them, looking away with a blank expression, seemingly talking about something. Luck, don't do anything stupid, Vanessa would say, as Vanessa couldn't believe how terrified she was. This man's level was on a different level. In fact, she doubted that almost anyone in the Black Bulls can beat them by themselves if it wasn't for the fact that they had Asta or Captain Yami. At this, she would look at the man as Luck would then shake his head, saying that he didn't even want to fight this man. And it was crazy to Vanessa and Magma, as they know Luck is a battle junkie. This is where we end up getting revealed to Zeno, as he was one of the leaders of the Dark Triad, as he was currently right now just taking care of a few junks and trash, as he decides to go off and leave. He did sense the presence of Luck, Vanessa, and Magma, but he decides to leave them alone since, well, he didn't care about them at all. As we turn our attention back to Asta and the rest of the gang, Love Pachika then continues on explaining, saying that since they are all here, she requires the help of the Clover Kingdom, saying that the only way for them to take care of this and to annihilate the Dark Triad is by, for both of them to team up. Since if they were to go in this alone, even with the power that they have, they wouldn't be enough. As she begins to explain that the people in the Diamond Kingdom are stronger than even 0 stage magic users, which are the strongest users out there. As she explains that also people like Asta and Yami are Arcana stages. And as she begins to tell them and share this information, she asks for an alliance between the two, to which this is when the Black Bulls actually end up bringing out their communicators, as the Wizard King was then called up, as he, after being informed of everything, would then agree to Lil Pachika's plan, forming an alliance between the Clover Kingdom and the Heart Kingdom. And this is where we end up going into the 6-month training. Now we're now doing a time skip, as I'm not going to describe all the boosts that everyone gets, but I will say this. Things go drastic. Thanks to the fact that the Black Bulls were already way stronger than they were in canon, the boost they end up getting actually end up helping them a lot. And another change that's going to happen during the time skip would also be that Asta, instead of actually being the one to be trained, he's actually playing the role of both student and teacher, as he's being switched from being a student into being a teacher again. Since the fact that Asta and his training, it goes way beyond anything that they ever even have been introduced to. Now, at best they can help Asta with magic theory and all that, but even that doesn't really help out, as Asta, like I said, his magical powers, his abilities, all that, although it's similar, it's completely different to theirs. And so due to this, Asta is playing the role of sensei, as he ends up helping people like Leopold, the rest of the Black Bulls, as they were already like, taking in his training, Yama even participated along with them, which also caused people like Charlotte to actually follow along, and also caused like many other people, as legit like a lot of people were coming to Asta for advice. Now this will cause a ginormous amount of respect to be thrown at Asta, as this caused him to actually be respected by even nobles who did not like commoners. Now, even though they did not like the fact that Asta was like so strong and everything, they can't deny his strength, and so to that, they have to give him begrudgingly some respect. But still, that didn't mean that they liked it though. As eventually, as time passes, we now turn to the present. At this, we see millions of Diamond Kingdom soldiers as they're currently right now trying to face off against these individuals, but stand no chance that they get blasted away. Damn it! We will hear one of the generals, as they're currently right now down on their knees, as they stare angrily at the humans right in front of him. How can these pathetic humans stand a chance against us? This is when suddenly a miniature flaming ball would then suddenly appear in the palm of the hands of none other than Leopold, as he ends up pointing it directly at the leader of this ginormous army. Man, I expected more out of you. But I guess in the end of the day, with Asta's training, it's kind of understandable why you would lose to me. Hopefully you'll try better in the next life, Leopold would say with a smile, as this is when the general would then scream out as the ginormous compressed flaming ball would then suddenly explode, releasing blue flames as the man was burned to a crisp, now being dead in an instant. Well, that's the last of them, Leopold would then say as he ends up stretching a little bit before turning to Luck, asking him if he was done. Now we will see Luck as he ends up blitzing by in a blue flash as he appears right beside Leopold, saying that yeah, he just took care of the last few generals a few kingdoms away. At this, Leopold would then nod his head as both Leopold and Luck were tasked to take care of a few generals that are nearby, causing trouble as they had brought an entire army, but they failed in the end of the day. Thanks to Asta's training, the process of taking care of the Dark Triad was sped up by a lot. Even during training, they were able to actually take care of the soldiers, and thanks to the fact that with training they still end up getting stronger and stronger, that just made these guys way easier to beat. So due to this, the Dark Triad were in their armies of followers, they were getting taken care of in an instant. As Leopold and Luck would then stretch out, Leopold would then ask Luck if they want to get some lunch, to which Luck would agree, saying that he wants to fight Leopold later though, to which Leopold ends up laughing, saying that he was on. As just as the two will then walk away, we'll then flash forward as we begin to see all around in different locations as the Dark Triad tried to expand their influence. Unfortunately, they were being stopped by different matching night squads. As we see Fuegoleon, as he currently right now is leading a bunch of the Crimson Lion Kings to take care of the squad as he takes out another general. I swear, Leopold is so stubborn. But at the end of the day, I guess he got it from Asta. Man, I can't believe that guy is still a kid. Fuegoleon would say as he ends up laughing, as he couldn't believe how much bolder and risky did his brother get during the training, as he can do nothing more but thank Asta for it, as it's only thanks to Asta's training and also the fact that Leopold actually gained confidence and strength that he was actually able to grow up out of that, awkward phase where he's standing in the shadow of his brother. And do not deny, bro, Leopold was legit in Fuegoleon and Merliona's shadow. Like, come on now. That guy deserved to win. As we see Fuegoleon sigh, as this is when suddenly he would then end up, getting out of the Spirit Dive, to which, by the way, he was into his Spirit Dive transformation. And due to this, he actually ended up getting an arm of the salamander with its wings, and his features got a little bit more scaly, looking him pretty much similar to how Asta does his dragon transformation, except for the fact it was a little bit different since he just turned red. If you want extra context, think of Natsu when he enters his E&D form in that one movie. It looked dope as heck, and so yeah, I'm just gonna use that as a reference for what Fuegoleon transformed. Now, just to let you guys know, Fuegoleon doesn't actually enter that transformation in the manga, so you guys don't worry. I didn't spoil you. I think. But we're moving on. So eventually, after taking care of these men, we will then begin to see all around as these events begin to happen in different locations, as different matching night squads take care of the trouble, until we eventually end up turning to see this ginormous machine as multiple people were held hostage inside. We will see a mother and her daughter currently quaking in fear as one of the grunts then walks over to her before grabbing her in the arm. You guys are never gonna escape from here. But since we have enough time, I might as well play with you, the man would say as he had a disgusting smile on his face. As the woman began to, cry out in fear, she tells him to at least spare her child, to which the woman just laughs sinisterly. As the rest of the people would then begin to fall in despair as they look away, now feeling sad as they don't know exactly what the fate of the mother will be, this is when suddenly they end up hearing a ginormous roar coming outside of the chamber. Huh? What the heck is going on? One of the grunts would then shout out as they then look at the rest of them as they had no idea what was happening. Before suddenly bursting through the wall, we would then see a man who had two wings sprouted out from his back as he had a ginormous smile on his face. It looks like I arrived just in time. We would hear the voice of Asta as he ends up making his appearance known, as he would then suddenly stand up, exiting out of the dragon transformation and getting rid of his wings as he stares at the rest of the people there. Well, it looks like I arrived here just in time. Would you mind letting the woman go now? She doesn't want to be with you, ugly. Asta would say bluntly, causing the man to get pissed off. Just who the hell are you? You know what? It doesn't matter. You're gonna die anyway, the man would say as he ends up creating this ginormous amount of ice blades, and along with them his other friends begin to form their own magical attacks, to which Asta ends up laughing. Really? Then show me your best shot, Asta would then say. As the men would then all release their attacks, Asta would then open his mouth, eating up the attacks in an instant, shocking people as usual. As after eating these attacks, he would then suddenly end up blitzing past the man, grabbing hold of the woman and turning her back to a safe place. You stay here. I'm gonna finish everything off, alright? At this, the woman would then nod as her child would then run over to her, giving her a hug, as both of them would then stare at Asta as he then walks back. Alright. Since you guys went ahead and caused these people pain, I might as well, do the same thing to you, except, 10 times more, huh? Asta would say as he looks at them, saying that it was fair. You think this is a joke? Doesn't matter. I don't know exactly what you did back then, but you stand no chance against us. You will die a painful. However, right as the man was about to go on a monologue, Asta would then suddenly release a dragon's roar. As the blue beam would then shoot out Asta's mouth, this would cause the rest of the base to be destroyed on one end, causing a ginormous explosion. As we see too many people from the outside watching this. Gosh dang it, Asta. You left again. I actually wanted to join you. We would hear the voice of Noelle as her, along with Mimosa, were coming right now in a water bubble as Noelle had actually gotten used to using her magic so easily and being able to control it perfectly to the point where she's just able to casually fly up in the air and bring people along with her. As Mimosa would sigh, laughing, saying that it was just typical Asta, as this is when suddenly they end up arriving at the location, and also we end up seeing a green portal end up forming as we see Finral walk out. Okay, Asta, I'm here. I just had to take care of a few gosh dang it, Asta. I told you to wait for me, Finral would say as he walks in, only to see that legit half of the base was destroyed by Asta's attack. Not sorry, Asta would say. At this, Finral shakes his head as he would then open a portal, telling people it was time for them to return home. Now, of course, all the people around would then, nod and thank Finral, as they all then turn to Asta thanking him as well, to which Asta just shrugs. Eventually, Mimosa and Noelle would end up arriving, telling Asta that he shouldn't head off like that on his own, to which Asta shrugs, saying who was going to be able to beat him. After all, he was going to become the strongest. At this, Mimosa and Noelle can do nothing more but nod their head, having a smile on their face, but they blush because, typical anime girl fashion. As they both admire Asta's, will and determination, Asta will then suddenly jump out of the base, spreading his dragon wings, as he says that he was going to go report back to the base, and to inform them about what had happened. Of course, Mimosa and Noelle would just sigh as they see Asta leave, upset that they didn't get to go with him, and also upset because of the fact he just does things way too quickly. I mean, they also want a piece of the action, pay these guys back for all the pain that happened. But they sighed, considering the fact it was just Asta and they couldn't stop him. It's crazy to think that a guy whose magical power makes no sense was able to make such a big difference. Noelle will say with a sigh as she would look at Asta in the sky, with Mimosa end up laughing, saying that it was just nothing more but the way that Asta does. It was just typical Asta. As both girls would then nod their head, we end up turning our attention to Lo Pachica as she was currently right now in her base, receiving confirmation from different sides, saying that they had been taking care of more and more of the groups. By this point, they were now 75% done and nearly done with taking care of the entire Spade Kingdom and stopping their influence. Lola Pacheco was actually surprised as the way events had happened, there were supposed to be way more steps, but again, thanks to Asta's influence and thanks to the fact he changed things drastically, this caused the events to actually go by in a flash, and this caused things to actually go by way more smoothly. As we turn our attention to see Lola Pacheco, she was currently reviewing all the information she had gotten, and we see a portal then open up to then see Mimosa, Noel, and Finral walk out, apologizing to Lola Pacheco, saying that Asta had actually dashed off, and that he pretty much told them that he was going to give the report at the base. Lola Pacheco sighed since Asta, he had Finral right beside him, but just decided to take the long way. But in the end of the day, she can't do nothing more but appreciate Asta's help. Now, as they start discussing about everything, this is when suddenly they begin to sense powerful magical presence approaching, as this is when they suddenly end up getting struck by none other than Vanica and the rest of the Dark Disciples, as they had decided to start their invasion. Now, instantly, Finral would also end up sensing the attack approaching, as he said he was going to take care of the guards by himself. So as the Dark Disciples then enter, as they start looking around and looking for Lola Pacheco, this is when they will then be hit by this small little green ball. What exactly are these things? The men would then say. As they start looking at it, they start touching it, until suddenly they'll then be warped away, as Finral would then look at the rest of the girls with a smile. Be back in a flash, Finral would say, as he would then suddenly end up warping away, as this would end up leaving Vanica alone with Mimosa, Noel, and Lola Pacheco. Well, isn't this interesting, she would say as she had a smile on her face. As we see all around in different locations, as Leopold and Luck would then eventually end up running to one of her Dark Disciples, we see Charmy and Rill as they also had been on a mission, as they also ran into one, and we see that many members begin to run into Dark Disciples. Now, of course, Finral actually had gone off to take care of the ones that had arrived at the base, since Finral was him. However, the Dark Disciples were not the only ones on the move, as we see the three leaders of the Dark Triad now finally ready to take their plan into action. As we now turn our attention to Asta, we see him now zooming through the air before arriving at the Black Bull's base, dispelling his wings as he arrived at the base. See Charmy, Luck, not Charmy, sorry, and not Luck either. I'm stupid. We see Ghosh, Gray, and Vanessa as they are all currently right now sitting down, enjoying the time of peaceful relaxation. Now, Ghosh has, winding down a little bit. He's not so obsessed with his sister, but he does sometimes get, moments here and there, but that's just typical Ghosh. We also see Gray as she was now way more confident thanks to Asta's training. After all, she's able to survive that means she's pretty tough. So of course she's gonna get confident. And eventually we also see Vanessa, who is casually right now reading books on spells before turning their attention to Asta. They say hello as Asta would, say hello back as they begin to relax, and also begins to tell Lola Pacheco about the reports. However, as they do, this is when suddenly gravitational pressure begins to set down. The Black Bulls are not affected by this at all, although at first they're caught off guard, except for Asta. They instantly just relax into it. Great, looks like someone's here. Vanessa would say she sighs she would then pop a bottle of alcohol. She begins to chug it down. That hits the spot. Hey Asta, you want to go up against them? Vanessa would say as Asta would then gain a serious expression on his face as he would nod before breaking down the base of the Black Bulls and jumping out. Vanessa was screaming at Asta, telling him that just because Henry is here does not mean he can just break the base whenever he wants, but she sighs as the base would then get recovered instantly. We would then see Dante, one of the leader of the Dark Triad, as he was currently looming over the Black Bull's base. At this, he looks at them all as he says that they're putrid and they're all insects, as he asks them exactly where is the location of Yami. Now, the Black Bulls don't say anything, of course, as they honestly do not care. After all, why go after Yami? And second of all, going after Yami is a big mistake, but being here is also the most mistake that you can ever make. As this was suddenly, as Dante was saying this, he would then sense the ginormous magical power of Asta. He would turn his attention onto Asta as he begins to mutter the words, interesting. Now, as he begins to speak, Dante would then begin to speak to Asta, telling him that he should just hand over Yami now, and if so, he could actually, spare their lives, or at least make their deaths quick and painless. However, Asta would just shrug it off, before suddenly bursting with wings in an instant and jumping into the air, before slamming a punch into Dante's gut, bursting through his chest as he knew nothing more but cough of blood, looking at Asta in surprise. I couldn't track his movements. As he tries to figure out about what was going on, he will then be elbowed in the back of the neck as he actually, winces in pain, actually losing conscious for a few seconds. If you're asking about Yami, then you're clearly not as smart as you think you are. After all, why focus on him when you just met an even bigger threat? At this, Dante begins to feel the tremendous magical power of Asta as it was bottomless, as he can do nothing more but shiver. What's going on? On pure instinct alone, he would then begin to activate 50% of his demon, as this is when suddenly he begins to sprout wings and flies away from Asta in tremendous speed. He also begins to recover his injuries in an instant, as this is when suddenly he increases the gravitational magic even further. I don't know exactly what type of power you have, but it's worthless. You don't stand a chance against me, Dante would say as he tries to increase the magical pressure around Asta, but that does nothing as he had a smile on his face. Well then, let's continue, shall we? At this, Asta will then begin to chase after Dante as he tries to do something, but it isn't working as he tries, recovering, and he tries, increasing gravity itself, but it does nothing to Asta as he can do nothing more but, try getting away from him. What's going on? This wasn't supposed to go like this, Dante would say. As we would see inside his mindscape, we would then begin to see the demon himself, Lucifero, as he was actually, also getting kind of scared of Asta's power. How could a human have this much power? It's impossible. No, my plan, it will succeed. I will return back to my original strength. He will not stop my existence. At this is when suddenly Dante will begin to feel ginormous amount of magic energy begin to increase as he feels the power of Lucifero going through him. Yes, you made a grave mistake now. You'll pay for your crimes with your blood, Dante would say. As this is when suddenly he begins to grow extra limbs and taking on a much hideous form as he stares directly at Asta. Asta would sigh as he sees this form as he would scoff. Is that all? Well then, if you're going to make this at least a little bit more interesting, I might as well do the same thing, huh? Asta would say, as this is when suddenly we begin to see him undergo a transformation as he begins to take in dragon-like appearance. Dragon force, Asta would say mentally, as he begins to sprout wings on his back as he takes more and more dragon-like features. We will now turn to a different location as we see Yuno currently right now rushing towards the base of the Golden Dawn. Now, Yuno had actually been called back to Hodge Village as he ended up meeting a strange man who explained to Yuno that he was actually the prince and that he was actually, destined for the throne. Now, Yuno hearing this would of course be surprised at this, but he doesn't care as he says that at the end of the day, he's still Yuno, vice captain of the Golden Dawn, and next in line to become the Wizard King. So due to this, Yuno dashes off into action as he rushes towards the location. Now, unlike in canon where you will see like a bunch of people like slaughtered and everything, here you will see just nothing more but like a bunch of people injured but still willing to fight, as multiple members of the of the army in the Dark Triad were currently right now actually getting beaten down by the rest of the Magic Knights. I wasn't expecting this. How can you guys be so strong? There's no way. However, just as he does, this is when suddenly a wind blade would then be sent flying directly to his neck, cutting off his head in an instant and killing him off. You talk too much, Yuno would say. As in speeds that had surprised everyone, he would then appear, slicing off the neck of the man. As everyone who was around seeing this would then smile. Our vice captain's here! Oh man, these guys are so screwed. We definitely won, the Golden Dawn would say. As this is when suddenly they also begin to see World Tree magic begin to form. And of course, Yuno seeing this would then instantly burst with a ginormous amount of wind as he rushes to the location. Eventually arriving at the location, we end up seeing Zenon as he's currently right now fighting against William. Now, unlike in canon where William, I swear, that man is trash. How was this man the leader of the Golden Dawn? I'm sorry. I know this man has impressive magic, but he's this trash to the point where he gets easily KO'd by Zenon. Bro, he does not deserve my respect. I'm sorry. I understand he had it hard, but still, bro. You are the captain of the Golden Dawn. You cannot be this sorry. I'm sorry, but he is sorry, okay? I'm sorry. Sometimes when it comes to these, it gets personal, okay? All right? You can't hype someone up only for him to be trash, all right? Don't do that. But moving on. So as Yuno ends up arriving at the area, he will see William actually putting up a good fight against the man, but he was having a struggle. Now, we will see Zenon as he... I don't want to explain much because this is kind of entering into, manga spoilers, but I will say he was currently right now entering into his transformations. Now we will see multiple bones begin to appear as they try to stab into William, and as William was about to block the attack, ginormous burst of wind would then begin to form around him as he begins to block the attack. Sorry I'm late, Captain. We hear the voice of Yuno as he will appear right beside William. As William seeing Yuno there would then have a smile on his face. No, you arrived just on time. Thank you. As William would then ask how everyone else was doing, would say that everyone was just fine and that they were currently right now taking care of the mess that he created. Now, seeing that both William and were there and sensing their tremendous magical power, Zenon would then scoff. You guys think you can stop me? You're wrong. This is the end for you. Zenon would say as he tries to activate more of his transformation, but both William and would then shout saying that he was done as would then enter into his final transformation, which I'm not going to describe at all for you. As would enter into this transformation, him and William would then begin to get into combat along with Zenon as they would then begin to fight off against him. As William and would then team up, William would shoot out ginormous bursts of wind blades as Zenon tries to dodge out of the way. However, as he does, you begin to see that each wind blade would then begin to get faster. What? Wait a minute. How is this possible? Zenon would try to say as he would try dodging the wind blades and actually blocking it with his bone magic, but it was not working. And along with that, he also had to deal with William, who was already annoying as the man continued trying to restrain him. As these two would team up on him, Zenon would then begin to realize the situation he was in, and to make things worse, hadn't even entered into his spirit dive yet. As this is when suddenly Belle would then end up making her appearance known, appearing right beside as this time she actually looked like, she looked like an actual, she's exactly as tall as this time. So, is it time for me to jump in and help you out? She would say. As, by the way, over time, thanks to the training, I would say that Belle's and Yuno's relationship, and at least in this timeline, had turned into that of a brother and sister instead of, Belle being, how she was in canon. I don't understand why they did that. Like, she was at first cool, and then they turned her annoying. Like, I don't understand why they did that. Some of you guys might enjoy it. I personally don't, but we're moving on. At this, would nod as both him and Belle would then begin to enter the transformation, as they would then take on their final forms, facing off against Zeno as he's unable to do anything. These people, how could they actually be able to? As Zenon tried to say something, we'll then begin to see it again in a different location. As you see on Noelle's end, we will see Mimosa, Lil Pachica, and Noelle herself as they were fighting off against Vonica, who currently right now was actually having a ginormous struggle against them. The fight at first had started off pretty well, with Vonica and Noelle being quite equal, with Mimosa being there to, heal up any wounds that Lil Pachica had gotten. But things took an out-of-control turn, as this is when suddenly Vonica would then mention Noelle's mother, which that just set her off, as Noelle had gotten a boost of strength that far surpassed anything that Vonica had faced off against at this point. Already Noelle's magic was already high level, but this already pushed her over the edge and actually getting a hand on Vonica. But how could this be? This makes no sense. I can't lose to her. No way. As she tries tapping into more of her demon's power, this is when suddenly she ends up hearing the roar as she looks up into the sky to see none other than the sea dragons. As it begins to form all around Noelle, as she looks at Vonica. I'm putting an end to this now. You won't be taking anything else away from me, Noelle would say, as with slight tears in her eyes as she remembers her mother, she would then unleash her legendary attack. As multiple dragons all around begin to roar as they charge at Vonica, who's unable to do anything at their unmatched power. How can this be? As Vonica then gets slammed by the attack, the only thing that will be left there was none other than her heart. As Vonica would be there, she would try to regenerate, but that was a mistake, as with a piercing drill, Noelle in a blitz of speed would then appear, finishing her off, as her drill would pierce through the heart and end her in an instant, putting an end to Vonica right then and there. As we now turn our location to Yuno, we will see Yuno finally powering up to his transformation, to which I'm not going to describe, because, manga spoilers. But we see Yuno entering his transformation, as him and Sylph. Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot the spirit's name for a few seconds. As him and Sylph would then create this ginormous wind bow as they stare directly at Zenon. Now Zenon, seeing the attack, would then try to move out of the way, saying that he will stop Yuno right then and there, as he goes into his 100% transformation. Finally entering this transformation, both Yuno and Zenon would then go into the final battle between each other as they go blow for blow. Wind magic being thrown around with bones being destroyed in an instant, where finally the final blow was now being landed. As Zenon tries to throw one last attack at Yuno, he would then actually be restrained by none other than the World Tree. If you think this has stopped me, then you're wrong. I will put in it. However, he would then be surprised as the World Tree would actually then do something surprising, as he could feel his magic actually being absorbed by the World Tree. At this, William would then stand up as he would actually, end up like laying down for the fight a few seconds because he was pretty exhausted. He was holding him off for a while now. As Yuno would then suddenly end up getting the opening shot. Consider this the end for you. Yuno would shout, as this when suddenly he ends up shooting off the wind bow that goes right through and actually ends up obliterating Zenon as he's unable to do anything but watch. Putting an end to now the second member of the Dark Triad, this leaving none other than the leader, Dante. As Dante right now entering his transformation, he would then create these ginormous blades as he throws them at Asta. However, Asta finally entering into his dragon transformation would then knock them aside. You really have no idea, do you? Asta would say as he then bursts into speed. Faster than anything Dante had ever reacted to, he begins to land blow for blow, destroying everything that Dante had hold and created as his body tries to regenerate, but Asta was landing like ginormous amount of blow each time. If you guys want a reference, think of it as when All Might fought the Nomu. It was looking like that, but on a much grander scale. At this, Dante tried to do something against Asta, but each blow Asta did was send shockwaves to destroy any attack he sent out. I can't beat him. At this, Dante had the realization fall upon him as he would then be sent flying, as Asta would do a suplex, sending him flying and crashing down to the ground. As Dante entered crashing to the ground, he would then begin to see Asta's fist begin to glow. No matter what obstacles come my way, no matter what dangers are approaching, and no matter how many difficult opponents I have to face, I'm going to overcome them all. Because I am the one who will be known as the strongest, Asta would shout, as this when suddenly the fist that was glowing would then begin to descend upon Dante, as Asta would then release the final technique. Dragon God's Fist. He would say the final words. As the attack would land down into Dante's stomach, Dante is unable to do anything as he closes his eyes, as just like that, the man would then be obliterated as he let out a ginormous roar of pain. The blow would be so powerful as this was happening right outside the Black Bull's base, causing the base to actually be pushed back if it wasn't for Henry, who had no choice but to hold on to the ground. The blow itself, though, did end up destroying most of the area around, destroying most of the trees and everything. But by the end of it, as Asta finally is finished with the attack, you see that Dante right now was currently KO. Like, this man was dead. Like, there was nothing left of this man. He was gone. If you want a reference, think of Natsu at the end of Fairy Tail when he went up against Zeref. As Dante would be destroyed and have nothing left of him, we will see Asta as he jumps out of the crater, exiting out his transformation. As right now, this is when suddenly he will then get a call from his communicator. As this is when suddenly he ends up getting information from Noelle that she had just taken on Vonica and defeated her, and he will also end up hearing confirmation from Yuna as well. With this being said, we also end up getting communication from all sides as we begin to hear that in every single part, all over, the Dark Triad and their forces were soon destroyed, leaving nothing left. As eventually, as time begins to pass, we will see eventually that all the Dark Triad and their influence was now gone, which would then put an end to this arc. Time begins to move on after the events. As after taking care of everything, the peace between both the Clover Kingdom and the Heart Kingdom will then begin to form completely, causing both groups to actually, evolve, and this allows them to now pretty much be cooperative to each other. Now, it will take some time to convince the nobles because, they're prejudiced and everything, but things would go by smoothly. It would just take time. We also eventually end up seeing the Spade Kingdom actually getting recovered, as a new prince actually ends up taking care of the area and is actually now being able to mend a contract between both Clover Kingdom and the Spade Kingdom, making another alliance, bringing these two kingdoms at peace with each other. And eventually, as we now turn to the present, we will see the current squad, As right now, we will see Asta as he currently right now is roaming through the forest with a generous smile on his face. Flashing forward for a few years, Asta had grown and gotten the title of the not even the Clover Kingdom's strongest, but he gained the title of the world's strongest. Everyone at this point had respected Asta, his achievements, his power, all impending threats that came their way. Asta had faced them head on, able to overcome all obstacles, bending fate itself. As eventually, after going through all this, Asta can do nothing more but gain the respect of the people. They couldn't deny his power. And although Asta in this timeline would decline the title of the Wizard King, at this point, everyone had already had decided to make Asta be known as the Wizard King. So Asta was known as the unofficial king of the Clover Kingdom and the world's strongest. As we see Asta eventually arrive at the dungeon, he would then have a smile on his face as he then charges through with a roar as he charges forward, onward to the next challenge. It's your host, Seiji Samurai, and this is the end to What If Asta Had Acnologia's powers. Hopefully you guys do enjoy. Sorry if you guys didn't like the ending. I personally enjoyed it, as I feel like this would be the way to do it. Now, I really did want to go into a lot of things here, but there was one problem. It was the fact that most of the things I want to get into were in the spoiler territory. Yeah, just because I read the manga does not mean I want to spoil everything for you guys, okay? Now, I might have possibly, maybe spoiled something in the series. I'm not sure. Because, you know, I go between both manga and the anime, okay? I be switching between the both, okay? It depends on my mood, okay? But in the end of the day, I did enjoy making this What If. It was fun. I try not to spoil it too much. And overall, I really enjoyed how things turned out. I want to thank you all so much for being with me on this journey. And honestly, I'm excited for the next future What Ifs. It's your host, Seiji Samurai. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this What If series, as this is the end of it. So peace and have a good time. Bye.